Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Fuad Ahmed about Baby Making 101, which is now available streaming on YouTube, part of PopternativeTV. Thank you for doing this, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's exciting. Like I said, PopternativeTV is something we just started, featuring a lot of amazing, cool content, digital content from all over the place, and, written and directed by Stephanie Baird. Baby Making 101 is a short that you starred in that is now available for people to watch on our YouTube channel. So it's an exciting time. What was it like making a film like this, first of all?
It was a lot of fun. I've known Stephanie for a few years prior to, and she had messaged me about the film.
Yep.
And it was quite funny. So leading up to that fall of 2019, when we shot it, I was actually thinking of leaving the industry because I'd gone through a pretty long dry spell where I was just like, I don't know if this is for me anymore. And then that fall, her, along with a few other things, fell into place that I guess had just been percolating for a long time. And it kind of reinvigorated me in my career, and it's been pretty steady ever since.
Kind of rekindled a little bit, right?
Yeah. So as much as romance and passion is happening in the short, it definitely reignited my passion for my work as well.
What are the ideas behind PopternativeTV had to do with this idea of featuring a lot of content? I'm all about opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities right now for a lot of projects that didn't have a lot of opportunities to get exposure to have it now with all the streaming devices and just all the visibility, Fuad. Did you kind of notice at one point, though, where maybe the mindset when you're doing these shorts and you're doing these web series, right? You're just going in there, you're working with some buddies, getting paid a little bit, but does it ever sink in that, we're in a time where, maybe there is an opportunity for this small short film to maybe get a lot of eyes? Like, does that come to mind at all a little bit?
When I'm actually in the short, the reason why I do a lot of shorts, and I really love doing them, is because I get to play characters that are kind of normally outside of what I would normally play in film and television, what's kind of like allowed for you to play. So for me, they're just like really great ways to like stretch my artistic muscle, my creative muscle, try out new things. So I'm never really thinking about like what happens after, because not my job.
Yeah.
I just have having a good time while I'm there. But it's been really, really interesting and really, really cool to see how all because of the way new media works in the internet, how these digital shorts that everyone's making, how they're being broadcast now and how we're all consuming them. I think it's a really cool new exciting time.
Absolutely. Obviously, this is a question more for, Stephanie Baird, and a lot of these these talks that we've had about setting it up. I mean, this is a special short. This has a little like the rom-com aspect to it. Of course, it's got the slice of life. It's very real. And the characters in this film, your character and Tamara's character do an unbelievable job. You're planning your life. You're making decisions that might not be easy decisions to make, and it's interesting because, the whole like talk about, starting a family, getting pregnant, those are big things to do. And that this really kind of plays around with that, whether, people want to do it right away, people want to wait. Like, it's a big one. Talk a little bit about that a little bit. It's a big subject matter here.
I think it's something that people don't realize a lot, and I think the conversation has been opened up in the recent past. Is it's the woman that goes through all of it, as much as the man is saying like, I'd like this and I'd like that, but at the end of the day, it's a woman's right to choose.
Yes.
And they shouldn't have any sort of pressure from anyone regarding what happens to their body. That's their decision.
Yep.
Understandably so. With my character, there's that yearning to want to be a father,
to want to be a dad. Absolutely. Yeah. And you do a great job with that, by the way.
I want to be a dad. So it wasn't hard, but it's just but it's also like we're not villainizing anyone in this situation. It's just a very realistic look at what happens in a relationship when someone makes a decision and then their mind changes, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, how does a couple navigate that? And there's no wrong or right answer to that, besides the fact that we need to be thoroughly aware of women having the right to choose what happens to their bodies.
And what happens in this happens, like you said, a lot. I just don't see. I mean, I watch a lot of TV and film. I'm sure they have touched on it. But what I really found interesting is this is such a big kind of thing that happens with a lot of, relationships and a lot of couples. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really think, I didn't see it before, like on screen or in like a short film. You know what I mean? Like,
I think what's really interesting is in the last little while, we're kind of questioning societal norms, societal questions, like, oh, you have to do X, Y, and Z before this age, and if you don't do that, well, then you're a failure.
Yep.
And why? Why are these questions? Why are these limitations? Not limitations. Sorry. Why are these like landmarks put on everyone's life when we're all individuals?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they do. You all do a great job of bringing this to life. This is essentially a situation where it's not an easy one. And, people are going to see it, and the trailer is, posted on PopternativeTV as well. And, Baby Making 101, a couple, trying to start a family, but, throws this curveball about these life questions. So I really think that this is a pretty deep short.
It is. There's definitely a very lighthearted beginning to it.
Yes.
Sure. Of them attempting to have a baby and all the practice that goes forth in that. So there's that aspect of it, but then there's also the real aspect of it, like, what goes through Tamara's character's head while she's, coming to grasp of her potentially being pregnant.
I think the pharmacy scene is just huge, just for the story, just for everything. It's just massive.
And it's so interesting because we see exactly how Tamara's character is feeling in that scene, and that like her mind's not made. And that's the thing, is the great thing about shorts is the content. Like, the film is never going to be long enough for us to come to a definitive answer, right? Yep. It's something that it's for the audience to kind of reflect on and see what resonates with them out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting as well too, because people are able to watch it right now on Popternative's YouTube part, PopternativeTV. They could just watch it right now. They can watch our interview and then watch it right away, or they can watch it and then watch our interview. Right? Exactly.
Watch it first, then watch the interview. Spoilers, right?
Very true. Of course. What do I say? Yeah, absolutely. What?
Yeah. But I give spoilers? I don't know.
It hits hard, and I think that's content that I love watching these days. What about you? Like, that's the one, the hard hitting content is the good stuff these days.
Squid Game? What?
Yeah.
I just finished it last night.
It's incredible.
It's funny. There's like two camps, I find. Either people want completely distraction, lighthearted, or some people just want to like go even deeper into the dark. Yep. And I really like this Baby Making 101 short because it kind of has both sides to it.
Yeah, absolutely. You also worked on Rebecca Miskin's Night Owl with Jesse Camacho, which is a lot of fun as well. Again, these stories that are hitting on, like, I don't know what word for to look at. I mean, there are obvious situations happening all the time in our world that I don't really see kind of put on screen that much.
Yeah. Well, it was so funny when Rebecca approached me about that project that she was talking about when she was lonely in LA.
Yeah.
And I went through the exact same thing.
Yeah, but how many movies and TV shows like hit that? Not many.
No.
Yeah.
No. Exactly. And it's such a specific experience as well.
Yeah.
That, so many, I guess, Canadian actors or actors from out of LA, they get to LA, they don't know anyone. People in LA are weird. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to make friends out there sometimes. And I remember going to the grocery store late at night as well. It's just like, what do I do? I guess I'll just buy some frozen
It's
pizza.
the big cities, the big hubs. Like in Canada too, Toronto can be intimidating for a lot of people as well.
Yeah, of course.
It can be.
especially like, yeah, if you come in from anywhere outside of Toronto, and yeah, I mean, I'm a Mississauga boy, so it's a little different, but
Absolutely. Do you see yourself going? Because like it's funny because there's a lot of stuff now that films in like Toronto, like a lot of big shows, which gives kind of opportunities to a lot of actors, not necessarily for series regulars, but hopping on an episode or two of The Boys or The Umbrella Academy because it films in Toronto. Is that something you've noticed that you wanted to kind of take advantage of a little bit as well? That lately, specifically, you live in Mississauga, Toronto's, around, big shows filmed there now. Have you clued into that at all and thought about that?
Oh yeah. That's kind of always been like a big chunk of my resume is a lot of U.S. stuff that happens to shoot up here. And yeah, I'm of the actor that's like, yeah, you want to hire me? Sure.
Same thing with Vancouver. Like everyone in Vancouver has 1 or 2 episodes of Riverdale or The Flash on their resume.
yeah. I think I auditioned for The Flash about once a month, it seems, for certain characters. Yeah, and then still nothing yet, but fingers crossed.
You recently made a decision in regards to your career about something very important. You were known on screen as Gabe Gray. You changed your name back to Fuad Ahmed. This was obviously a decision that's very important to you, a decision that took a lot of time for you to think about and decide. Can you just talk a little bit about this decision, and just the floor is yours, man, about everything?
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll preface just like I've been at this for quite a while. I started in the early 2000s, and I would say the climate certainly wasn't as woke as it is now. And opportunities for actors that looked like me were far and few between, and they tended to be quite stereotypical and frankly racist. So my management at the time had suggested changing my name, and it was like, I think when anyone decides to become an actor, no one actually thinks they're ever really going to make it as an actor. At least I did. I was a biology major. It was kind of like, yeah, sure. Like, let's try this acting thing for, I didn't think, it did actually, resolve into an actual lifelong career. But yeah, it just kind of like snowballed very quickly. Like I just started booking work basically off headshot once that name change went on. And at the time I was just like, okay, I guess this works. It was a little bit of a learning curve to get almost like a dog being retrained to hear a new name. And so I remember the first few sets I was on, I was like, oh, right, Gabe, that's me. Right. Yes, I'm Gabe. And then just in the last little while, just politically, the way things have been going, and things just weren't sitting right with me. And when and I've been seeing a lot of stories about people reclaiming their names. Thandui Newton was one of them. She had her name just taken from her pretty much, and then she finally
No problem.
Sorry, I thought I'd put that on silent. So Thandui Newton was someone whose story kind of resonated with me, and then I remember I was actually on set doing another short, and when the London, Ontario tragedy happened with the Muslim family that was run over, and being Muslim myself, it was just something that I don't know how to describe what I was feeling. All I knew is that like that Gabe Gray thing that was on me was. It was done. And then I initially had just made a post on Facebook saying, hey everyone, like just for my friends, like and people that followed me on social media, just so you know, like I'm taking my Arabic name back, and that was that. And I didn't think anything would come of it.
You didn't think much about absolutely.
It was more like, okay, now how do I change my IMDb? And Stephanie Baird was wonderful in terms of she immediately, as soon as I announced my name change, she immediately got on IMDb, got all that stuff changed. My agent was on it, letting all the casting directors know. It was more clerical to me. It wasn't like this. A lot of people have come to me saying like, oh, talk to me. Like it must have been so emotional. It must have been so hard. And it was just more of I can't do it. And it was just done. And then it was just like a decision. I didn't wake up that morning with it. It was kind of like halfway through the day. I'm like, I don't want this anymore.
Yep.
And that's that. And I don't want it. And go. And so it was more the clerical stuff that was kind of in the way. And then I made the post on Facebook, and then a family friend messaged me. She worked with the CBC, and she's like, "Would you like to write an essay about this?" And I was like, "Okay." I mean, again, I didn't think of it. I think anything would come of it. I said, "I'll write the essay." I figured it would just go into obscurity on the internet, and then it just went viral. Like, it went all around the world.
Good for you, man. No, inspirational, dude. Inspirational.
People to this day keep sending me messages about when this article was published.
It was massive because, like we talked about before too, the massive we know a lot of the same people. So it was just like it took over the feed, like my Facebook feed.
It was like people I hadn't heard from in years that weren't even in the industry. It was popping up in their feeds. People like halfway around the world were messaging me, and what really got to me is like I didn't think anything of it when I did it. And when I wrote about my experience, it was just if you read the essay, it's very factual. It's very, I don't try.
It's to the point.
It's to the point. I don't really get into the emotion of it because it almost felt like it was survival, and I had to separate myself from the emotion for that survival. But then so many people reached out with their own stories about what they went through. From all backgrounds, from all industries, and I got some kind of like nasty comments as well, but I was actually expecting a hell of a lot more nasty comments, but overwhelmingly people just reaching out
positively
how much the essay resonated with their own story, and I had no idea.
But I do have a question though, because it does interest me, Fuad. In regards to the decision to go to Gabe Gray at one point. You said you were Muslim. Fuad Ahmed is your name. Changing it to Gabe Gray.
Yeah.
Even early on, before everything you were kind of talking about, what were there kind of situations that came to mind where it was more of a matter of when rather than if? In terms of what, like early on, were you ever like thinking about going back to Fuad Ahmed as your stage name, as your name?
No, it was like I had kind of explained it to myself, like lots of performers have stage names, and a lot of people who kind of sent me kind of mean remarks like, "Oh wow, an actor changed his name." Ooh, like I'm like, but it's different. I'm not changing my name to have like a flashier moniker. It was more of a way like, how do I get into the audition room? How do I audition? How am I able to just be in a room without having to explain my existence first? Because a lot of it was like you walk into a room, and because there weren't a lot of brown people auditioning, it was a lot of how do you say your name? Where are you from? And then a lot of and hawing, and a lot of assumptions made about your level of talent based on your name and the color of your skin.
And there's going to be haters no matter what. I talk to a lot of people. It's interesting. There definitely is this debate in terms of how to deal with like social media haters. And because I find there's some people that are like, oh, ignore them, block them. Yeah. But then there's some other people that I've spoke to who are like, no, like you can't say that on social media.
50-50 on it.
Yeah.
There's somewhere it's like, there was one person that kind of said, oh, like good for him, but this is like just a piece of professional PR, and he's just trying to and I'm just like, professional PR? Wow, thank you. I'm with the so I responded, thank you for the compliment, but I'm no professional PR. I literally wrote this in my backyard on a Saturday, like before it was due.
And I guess too, it comes to mind as well that working in the entertainment industry, there's going to be a lot of things that happen like that. So I feel like it's one of those things where you just.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I got some of the kind of the mean comments, I understood, because even some of the mean comments were coming from people.
But there's no place for that, man.
They were coming from within my own community, right? So like a lot of people were just like, "Oh, he's only doing this now because being diverse is in," and I'm just like,
"Yeah,
I'm kind of doing this now because I feel safe too. I didn't feel safe before. I didn't like, and like it just didn't. it had been bothering me for a while, but I just didn't act on it because it was also like, I've had this name for 15 years. Everyone knows me at this name. What's going to happen?
And that should be like your rebuttal for the people
Yeah,
that bring
and
up like the opportunistic
also,
thing. Yeah.
it was like, okay, so I did it. I'm not allowed to change my mind. And it kind of brings me back to baby making in a similar way, because the couple has agreed to a certain future together.
Yeah.
And then Tamara's character has a moment where she's like, I don't want to do this
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, spoiler alert. But because, like, I think that's just human nature, where just because you agree to something and there's like one, like, it's not like it's a contract. It's not like this is who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Like, people change, people evolve, people grow, and I think
growth also happens when like you could just say like this is how it's gonna be, and then not even think about things, and the growth will just happen without you even thinking about it for a second, and like anything. Like it's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's just pretty wild when I just, like I said, like I didn't wake up that morning saying, well, I'm gonna do this whole professional PR thing.
Well, thank you for sharing all that with me, man. Seriously.
Yeah. No, you're welcome. I mean, whoever is listening or watching this right now, if you're going through something similar, just know that you're not alone.
Absolutely. And I wanted to thank you very much for coming on to chat about Baby Making 101, which is available now streaming on
Popternative.
Absolutely. PopternativeTV on
TV, sorry.
And where people can follow you on Instagram and Twitter to keep update with everything?
Yeah. I don't know. It's basically Syed, which is like the title in my family for all the men, _ Fuad _ Ahmed. So that's how you can find me.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. You're going to be able to catch Fuad Ahmed in Baby Making 101, written and directed by Stephanie Baird, which is now streaming on Popternative TV on our YouTube channel. So please watch it. Please share it. Please like and subscribe as well. It's such an amazing short. Until next time, this is Fuad and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.